Dear students, welcome back to our online class. So for today's class, of course, once again we will go through Unit 6 and of course a new lesson from Unit 6, and that is lesson number 9. Lesson 9, and it was it is the second part of that story named The Selfish Giant Part 1, and now it stands for The Selfish Giant Part 2. Okay. Uh, so before starting the story, please remember one thing, that the stories or the poems we are going through, this are this we are reading this poems and stories for our amusement. So don't be so panicked. Okay, enjoy the class and try to get the ideas of the stories or the poems. Okay, so further I request you, please don't be panicked or don't be worried about your coming exams. Just go through the chapters with wholeheartedly and amusement. Okay, I know you will make it out, no matter how difficult the exam or the paper will be, but you will surely make it out. I have that belief on you, I have that trust on you. Okay, so basically this stories and poems, this will be very influential and that will be very fruitful for you speaking and your writing skill. Okay, so try to get that idea. So the Selfish Giant Part 2, here the keywords in the keyword section. Here only a word is castle. What is castle? Castle means a palace, not place. It's palace. Okay, let me show you. It is what it is, palace. Castle means C-A-S-T-L-E. Castle means P-A-L-A-C-E. Palace, not place. It's not, okay, it's palace. So see, castle, C-A-S-T-L-E, castle. Castle means what? Castle means palace, P-A-L-A-C-E. That means a big storage building. Okay, so basically castle is not known as house. These are actually palace type place, not place, it's palace, P-A-L-A-C-E, palace. Okay, so it's a very very tiny difference between the two words, though they are quite similar. I mean, though they seem like quite similar, but actually they are not. There are a slight difference in between their pronunciation and the spelling as well. Okay, babies. So now coming to the chapter, of course we will we will have so many words, but I think these words are very common, and you will have no difficulty in finding out the synonyms of these words. Okay, so please have your EFT book with you. As I always say you that EFT is all about the main text or the chapter. Without the EFT book, you can proceed. So have your EFT book, and of course have your pen with you, so that the important words can be underlined. So the task A is commenting that continue reading the story. That means it is the second part of that previous story. So now we will continue the story, that the children had now nowhere to play. There were no guardians around, and the roads were busy and crowded. After school, they used to go round the high wall and talk about the beautiful garden inside. How happy we were there, they said to each other. So as what did we learn? That we learned that the garden that was used by the children as the playground actually was a giant's garden. That means the owner of the garden was a giant, and he was missing for 7 years as he went to meet his friend. So after 7 years, when he returned, he discovered some of the children in that place, and that they were actually playing, and they used the place as their playground. So seeing that he was turning, he was boiling in anger and angrily with harsh voice. He asked them, what are you doing here? It's my place and I would not allow anyone any trespasser, so please leave right now. And to save his own land, what did he do? He just put up a notice in big letters that trespassers will be what will be punished. So he asked the children to leave the place as early as possible, and the children also left the place. Why? Because seeing that gigantic body, who will wait for at least for a moment. Okay, so the children were frightened and they just left the place hurriedly. So on the next day, now the children had no place to play. I mean, they found no place where they can enjoy their free time. So now there were no guardians around, and the roads were busy and crowded. So they found no guardians as they used to have in the earlier as their playground, and the roads were so busy and crowded that they found no single piece of land to spend their time. Okay, after school they used to go around the high wall and talk about the beach. So what else they could do? Now they have only one option, that they can only pass by the playground. That means that giants place. Though they can't play, they can't enter into it, but they can at least pass by the wall. Okay, and they talk to each other that how happy we were there. I mean, we used to have very beautiful moments. And they said to each other, now see what's our condition. Please go through the next page, turn to the next one, that is page number 65. So then came the spring. Now it's the season of spring. So now this is the time for spring. That means the season is spring now, and all over the country there were flowers and there were birds. Only in the garden of the giant it was still winter. How strange! That means the all over the world, or the in the whole country, it is now spring, but only in giant's garden it doesn't look like that the spring has already entered, as if it is still the winter is the winter is now continuing its part. So the garden of the giant, it was still winter. I mean, there is no chirping of birds, there is no flowers blooming in the trees. That's why it looks like the winter season. Here no birds were singing and no flowers blossoming. There were only snow and frost and north wind in it. As we know that in the season of spring, why it is the most favorite season of maximum people, because in spring, birds, the singing of birds, gives us so amusement that no other season can give us like that. And the new flowers, the colorful flowers, colorful leaves, trees, all over the places, and this makes you happy, and that refreshes you from the very deep inside of your heart. And see, in the giant's place, it cannot be seen even in 1%. So there were, moreover, there were only snow and frost. It was cold. Okay, so I cannot understand why the spring is so late in coming, said the giant. Now the giant is in trouble. He is thinking himself that I cannot understand why the spring is so late in coming. What happened to my garden, that the whole country is celebrating the spring, but for me it's still winter. And see, I have so many flowers orchard, and surely it was meant to be bloomed. The flowers were meant to be bloomed into my garden, and the fruits should be ripe, but what's happening to my garden? There's no flower, there's no new leaves. Why the winter is so late? He was sitting at the window of his big castle and looking out at his cold, dry, lifeless garden. So what else he can do? He is just sitting at the window of the big palace, and he can see he had a a look of his whole garden, and he's thinking that see how rush the nature is looking like in my garden. So from that big castle, he is thinking that he is giving a look on that cold, dry, lifeless garden, but he cannot sense why it is happening. So I hope there will be a change in the weather. But neither spring nor summer came to his garden. So I mean, see, as we all hope for the positive, so the giant is also hoping for the positive things, that yeah, surely the spring will come to my garden. Maybe this time winter is so long, that's why maybe the spring is doing late in coming to my garden. But it cannot be. But how is it possible that everyone is celebrating, the whole country is celebrating the spring season, but here in my garden it's still looking like as if it is now winter season. So so he is now hopeful that yes, of course, a change in the weather will be happen, and my gardens will be bloomed, the flowers will be bloomed, and the birds will be chirping in my garden also. So but neither spring nor summer came to his garden. But at last he was disheartened by the harsh reality of the nature, that he couldn't he couldn't celebrate any other uh, season except that winter. I mean the spring or summer, he could see no other season other than the what winter. What happens, see, in so what do you understand from this story, that once the giant he throw he had thrown out the children, and he had put a notice up to his guardian that the trespassers will be punished. So the children are not now are no more allowed into his garden. So they found no place to play, and but see, when now it is the whole garden is in his hands. So but suddenly one day he could realize that what happened to my garden, as it was the time of spring, but in his garden it was still it was still winter. So but he had no clue that why this all things are happening to his garden. So what did he do? He, from the big window of his castle, he was just kept on thinking that what's the reason behind it. But it never happened to me that the whole country is in spring, but my garden is still stuck to the winter. Why? Because he could see no birds were chirping, no flowers will be no flowers are bloomed. So everything is lifeless, harsh, and very dry. So basically, literally, it was the cold in for his garden, not for the all over the country. Okay, so something very supernatural is happening to his garden. So he kept on thinking, but he is finding no clue of it. So but at the last moment, he thought that he is giving himself this own satisfaction that maybe this year the winter is too long, so that so maybe the spring is coming in the late. The spring is doing late in coming, as the winter is going too far. But and at the same time he is hopeful that maybe a change in the weather will be happened, and again my garden will be lively, as the earlier it happened to be. So it used to be, but all his hopes went in vain, because neither he could enjoy the spring nor the summer could be celebrated in his garden, because his garden was stuck to only season, and it was the dry cold winter season. So what do you think, that why it is happening to his garden only? Do you have any clue? Yes, because the garden was in its life just because the children's coming, just because the children's that amusement and the children's the children's park in that garden, maybe it's the only reason behind it. So it's your task to find the answer out. See, for your task, I would like to give you the task number B and C from the page number 65. I have already mentioned on the board that discuss in groups and write an answer. Though it is not possible in discussing in the group, so you have to do it yourself. What happens in a garden in winter? We all know in winter how a garden looks like. Okay, so you have to write down the answer, and along with this number C, suppose you are one of the children who were not allowed to play in the giant's garden. In this situation, what would you like to tell the giant? Okay, if you were one of that children, what would you like to suggest to the giant, and what do you think the giant would tell you? I mean, you have to write down that what could the could the giant's reply be to you. Okay, what will be the answer of the giant? Okay, so these are the tasks for you as your homework. I know these are not anything difficult for you. You will surely write down the answers. Please have a look on the board that your homework is page number 65. It's B, task number B and C. Okay, okay, I hope you enjoyed this story. So no more today. That's all for today. Please do the homework, and let me check it out. So we will meet on the next class. Till then, stay well and take care.